Hey class, so for this tutorial we are going to be taking our final model from Substance Painter that's been all nicely textured, and we're going to bring it back into Maya. So the first thing we want to do is export our textures from Substance Painter. So you can see I have a ton of layers here. It is stylized, although partially realistic looking. I do have one single UV tile and texture, so that should make this a little bit easier. So what I'm going to do is just go to File and Export Textures, and here we can first change our output directory. So I'm going to click on that and just choose where you'd like to save it to. For me, I'm going to my final project, source images, and then I made a new folder for robot cat textures. So I'm just going to open it to there. And for output template, let's use Arnold, so AI standard surface. So scroll on down to that one. And then file type based on output template, or you can choose JPEG, but I think it just traditionally does PNG. Okay, for file size, by default, because I'm choosing to go with 8K, it is set to that. But if your computer is starting to struggle at all, please feel free to use 4096, 2048, etc. Then let's go to our output templates. I'm going to choose this Arnold AI Standard. And you can see I have base color, metalness, roughness, normal, height, and emissive. And then finally in this last tab, you're going to see everything that is going to be exported. So let's hit export. So once this exports, since I chose such high resolution, but I'll see you on the other side. All right, so just a few minutes later, I actually changed it to 4096 resolution because it was taking a little while and I needed to finish this tutorial. So, but you can see that it successfully exported a bunch of different files. So it did everything except for emissive, which is fine. I didn't have emissive anyway. So now we can go into Maya and attach our texture files there. Okay, now we're back in Maya and I have my low resolution model showing because this is what we'll be applying our textures to. So first thing we're going to do is just grab my model. And now there are two ways of applying textures. I'm going to show you the manual method first. So just watch this first. And then I will show you a faster method using the Substance plugin, which seems to be a lot quicker. All right, so the manual method will just allow you to understand what Substance is doing in the background with their plugin. So now if I select my model and I want to select my texture in the attribute editor, I'm noticing that I do have a bunch of construction history in these tabs. So I'm just going to delete history and freeze transformations a couple more times. And now I can see my unified texture really easily. So there's a very handy chart on Substance's 3D guide that shows the AI standard surface setup. And basically what we need to do is plug in for each of these channels, so base color, roughness, metallic, normal, opacity, and height. We need to plug in our maps into these areas. So the base color will go into the base and the color. Roughness will be under specular and roughness. Metallic will go under base and metalness. The normal is a little tricky. It's under geometry and bump to be 2D and normal camera. And when we're putting all of in, we also need to be aware of the color space that we're choosing, and then whether we need to turn on alpha is luminance. So I'll just show you that. If you use the plugin, it will do this all automatically. So I'll just do the first three, or actually I'll do the first four, and then I'll also show you the plugin. Okay, so let's do base color first. So that's going to go into base and color, and it's going to be an sRGB. Cool. So this is really easy. So weight, remember that's the amount of color. So that's on a 0 to 1 scale. But we want to plug into base and color. And so we're going to select this little node on the right. Go to File and Image Name. That's where I'm going to select my color. If you've been using the projects folder setup, it'll automatically open to the source images, and we're just going to choose our base color file. You can see what it looks like right here. It looks pretty wacky, but it's going to be mapped to our model. And then down below here is the color space, so you can click on this tab. Notice for the raw it's under utility, but right now we just want sRGB. And you'll notice even though I attached my file, I can't see it. So there's a tiny little button here called texturing, and that will turn that on. And let's see, it's pretty dark in my scene, so I'm just going to add a ground plane, scale it up, go to mesh, edit mesh, and circularize that so it has a nice edge on it. Hit the button 3. So now I have a ground plane. And I'm also going to add a light. And now I'm going to use this Arnold's render view just to show you what this is all doing. All right, so if you hit play, you will get a preview of your model's render. It may take some time depending on your computer. What I like about this Arnold render view is you can take a snapshot down here, and that will allow you to compare different render settings. So instantly you can see what my model looks like with just the color applied. Notice that it's very shiny, so that will be taken care of in the roughness settings. So let's just take a look. But it definitely does look a lot more like Substance, or yeah, Substance Painter's render compared to here. Okay, let's go back and let's grab our texture again. And you can notice that my specular weight is set to 1 right now, but I'm going to fix that by adding a roughness map. So let's go to roughness and the little node here. Go add a file, add my image, and let's go find the roughness map. Now where everything is white, that means it's going to be maximum roughness. Where it is black, that means it will be shiny. So you'll see it's going to be quite a rough material, but a little bit of shine, I believe, with the eyes. All right, so now here's where it's important to change our color space. So we're going to change this to raw. And then we need to find the alpha is luminance setting. So I think that's under color balance. Yep. And alpha is luminance. So if we check that on, now I can go back to my little Arnold render view. And I can hit play, and that should make it create a new kind of IPR setting. Okay, so after a couple minutes, you can see that this is looking good. It's a lot less rough or less shiny than the previous version. So let's look at snapshot 1. This is with total shininess. You can see all this reflection, and now you can see that that reflection is gone. So that's pretty cool. All right, let's do the next one, which is metallic. So let's grab our guy again, and metalness is this one. Grab a file. Actually, click on this file. So now we want metalness. So again, where it is white, it will be very metallic, and where it's black, it will not. Scroll down to color space, add raw. Alpha is luminance. And then there is a warning here to avoid conflict. So you can click on this. It says that I need to turn on ignore color space file rules. So let's do that. I think it's over here. Where is that? Oh, ignore color space file rules. There we go. Alrighty. So that's another one. So that's just adding a tiny bit of metal. Then let's add our normal. The normal is a little bit weird. So again, I'm going to click on my model. That is under geometry and bump mapping. You can click on this guy and file. It's going to look pretty crazy. So if you keep it as use as bump, you're going to get this crazy texturing. But what we want to do is change this to tangent space normals. And then for our bump value, we're going to click on this little node, grab our image, and this will be our normal file. So you can see this is where the XY RGB equals X, Y, and Z. So it displaces in 3 different directions. For normal, we want to change our color space to raw again and ignore our color space rules. Cool, so I think this is worthy of a Arnold render view. So you can see that it's pretty flat so far, but adding this bump map should add more depth to our divots. Cool. And you can see now that there's a lot more depth and texture thanks to this bump map. So let's take a little picture of that and save that. So one thing that you can do as well with your bump map is flip the RGB channels. So ignore these, but let's compare it. So I'm going to grab my material again. Go to geometry, so scroll all the way down to geometry, click on the bump mapping node, and then you're going to select this node up at the top here. It's the output. And if you scroll down to Arnold, here you can flip your R channel and flip your G channel. I'm going to turn them both on for a second just so we can see what this looks like with our Arnold render view. So we're comparing it to snapshot 3. Okay, so now I'm going to take a snapshot. So this is comparing snapshot 6 with flip R and G turned on with snapshot 5. So you can kind of see there's not a huge difference in values, but it definitely does have a little bit of change in the direction. You can also turn off flip R and keep flip G on. That's another method to check this out and see if that makes a difference in your overall texturing. So that's an option. It is optional though, so it just depends on your preference. So the last one that we're going to connect is the height map. So the height map is a little tricky to get to. So let's go to our unified texture in the Hypershade editor. And you can right click and select Graph Network, or you can go and click this tiny little button. The area where the height map is located is actually under this displacement shader. Oops. So just click on that and you can see this displacement material down below here. So here's where we can click, add a file, and we want to add our height map. There we go. And really it's just particularly adding some depth to that little heart and to the claws. There we go. So for that height map, again, we need to change our color space to raw. And I'm guessing this is ignore the color space file rules and make sure alpha is luminance is set down here. So now when we go and we take a look at our little Arnold render view, hit play. So you can see that this really blew up. That is from the alpha offset setting. So you can see here that if you go to your height channel, and change this alpha offset to negative 0.5. Here we go. It looks a lot better. And the scratches and the texturing is much more deep. So the height channel can be really helpful. If you have problems with it, you can always leave it off, but I'm just going to do another little snapshot of it. And you can see here, compared to having the height channel, it's pretty severe, but if you want all of those scratches and everything to show, then that's how you would do it. Okay, so I've shown you the manual method of applying all of these materials. What about the quicker method? Now, Academic Phoenix Plus has a fantastic tutorial, so if you want to go and watch her tutorial, that would be great. But I will just really quickly, and I'm going to link it below, but I'm going to really quickly show you how to add it too. So if you go to Settings and Preferences, and Plugin Manager, then you're going to look for Substance. And you can see, let's just load all of these for all of our little plugin managers. So now we're going to close this, and you can see there's a new tab that's been created that says Substance on it. And we're going to click this one that says, that has like 3 materials to 1 material, and that's Apply Workflow to Image Maps. And we're just going to select multiple maps, and what we're going to do is grab all of our PNG files here that we created. So these little textures are files that Maya creates once you've applied a material in Arnold. So we don't need those. We'll just grab all those PNGs and hit select, and see how it automatically attaches them for us, which is phenomenal. So what this does is actually creates a new material. So if we go to our Hypershade editor, you will see that a new AI standard surface has been applied. So I'm going to click on that. I'm going to rename it. Let's call this new cat material. And you can see already all these little connection nodes have been set for us. If we click on the color, you can see, let's see, go back to that one. If you click on, okay, let's do the roughness. You can see that it's already selected the color space raw for us, and it's already turned on alpha is luminance. So that's the advantage of this Substance plugin, is the last 10 minutes of me talking, we're all nice and done. So we can click on our raw files and check our color balance. That's all nice and set for us as well. So all we need to do then is grab our object. So let's grab this guy. Make sure you're not grabbing anything else. Right click, assign an existing material, and we will grab our new cat material. And now let's take a look. So it just did everything that I just did in the last 10 minutes. And we can hit play. And we have very similar results. So I highly recommend using the Substance plugin, as it will save you a lot of time and effort. There is one more thing to know with this quick method, is that the bump mapping settings can be changed. So let's just select our model and go to our new material, scroll down all the way to geometry, go to bump mapping file and select that little node. You're going to select the node underneath again. It was right here. And go down to Arnold, and here's where you can flip R channel, flip G channel, etc. And you can play with these settings. So Academic Phoenix Plus recommends turning off the flip R. So that's what we're going to go with. And but let me turn it on and I'll show you what it looks like. So I think it had off before under snapshot 4, and now this is with it on snapshot 5. And you can tell that it just changes the direction of the depth of the R channel. So remember, the R is the equivalent of your X displacement. So that's up to you if you want to turn that on. She recommends leaving it off, so I'm going to just leave that one off. All right, so now we are ready to move forward with rigging and all of that good stuff. So you can move on to the next video. Thanks, class.